This is QTV News. I am Mariettu Sidibe and thanks for joining us. Coming up, President Adama Barrow appeals for debt relief from India to better implement development plans. The AU Peace and Security Council visits the TRRC. The University of the Gambia Students' Union holds a press conference following the death of one of its students. The Gambia is preparing to send its largest ever contingent of competitors to the African Games. This year's edition is due to get underway on 19th August in Morocco. For more on this and other stories, stay tuned. Visiting Indian president says his government is committed to partner with the Gambia towards the latter's progress and prosperity. In response, President Barrow appealed for debt relief from New Delhi to better implement development plans. The two leaders were speaking at a press briefing at the State House in Banjul. Alusise reports.
The visiting Indian President Ramnath Kovind arrived at the seat of the presidency in Banjul on Wednesday morning for a closed-door meeting with his Gambian counterpart. President Kovind is in the country for a Free Nation African tour and is the first Indian president to visit the Gambia. President Kovind, speaking during a press briefing after their meeting, said he was honored by the hospitality accorded to him and his delegation. He praised the long-existing bilateral friendly ties between Banjul and New Delhi. As Anglophone countries, both the Gambia and India are members of the Commonwealth of Nations.
I had fruitful discussions with President Barrow. I felicitated him on his determination to foster greater democracy and inclusive growth in the Gambia and for the steps he is taking towards stability and nation building.
Kovind said their discussions centered on bilateral and multilateral issues of mutual interest. He gave assurance of India's commitment to further strengthen the relationship.
To further our bilateral agenda, today we signed a memorandum of understanding and cooperation in the field of traditional systems of medicine and homeopathy. As two ancient societies, both our countries have much to offer to the world from the fields of Ayurveda and other forms of traditional health practices.
He added that he has received the instrument for ratification of the International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement from the Gambia, which will open up new opportunities for collaboration between the two countries to combat climate change. He also announced further areas of cooperation.
We have decided to extend assistance of $500 million in support of skill development and cottage industry projects. We also agreed to offer training in the fields of judiciary, police, administration and technical expertise as per the request and in line with the priorities of the Gambian side.
President Kovind went on to thank President Barrow for the support to India at international forums, especially on his interest for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. For President Barrow, he said a lot can be learned from India, a country he describes as the biggest democracy in the world.
India is the biggest democracy in the world. And we are really inspired by India's democracy. We are a young democracy and we want to learn. I think we can learn from India.
According to President Barrow, one issue stands out for the Gambia from the discussion.
We want to make impact on the life of the Gambian people. We want to make difference for the Gambian people. But the debt is a big burden, and we appeal to India for debt relief. We have discussed that. At least they give us a debt relief for 5 years that will assist Gambia to implement some of our projects.
President Barrow also revealed that about 60% of tax, representing over $600 million, was used last month to pay debt. President Kovind was later hosted to a lunch by President Barrow, attended by senior government officials, religious leaders, National Assembly members, and members of the diplomatic corps. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alusise.
Meanwhile, President Adama Barrow has traveled to Mauritania to attend the swearing-in of new President-elect Mohamed Ould Ghazouani. Ghazouani replaces Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz. Barrow was seen off on departure by Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré and security chiefs. The president will return on Thursday. A 15-man delegation from the African Union's Peace and Security Council visited the TRRC headquarters in Kololi to assess the Truth Commission's work so far and subsequent activities to be undertaken by the Commission and its subcommittees. Lamin AFFS Dabo was there.
The official visit from the AU Peace and Security Council to one of the transitional justice outlets in the country, the TRRC, is to listen to the commissioners and commission staff for a rundown of activities implemented since the commission's inception in January 2019. During the discussions, the heads of the 5 Truth Commission subcommittees, namely the Reconciliation Committee headed by Commissioner Ousseynou Diallo, the Reparations Committee headed by Vice Chair Adele Sosegei, the Amnesty Committee headed by Bishop James Allen Yaudiko, the Gender and Women Committee headed by Commissioner Anangulu Jones, and the Youth and Children Committee headed by Mustafa Ka, all of whom gave the highlights for their respective committees. The Executive Secretary of the TRRC told the visitors that on their outreach activities, they were able to visit about 50 schools, out of which they met 45,000 students across the country, and 95 students were fortunate enough to attend TRRC public hearing sessions. The TRRC's lead counsel, Esam Baifal, told the visiting delegation that the Truth Commission will conduct future institutional hearings with institutions such as NIA, the Judiciary, and the Ministry of Justice, as they were the main enablers of former President Yahya Jammeh, during whose presidency the 1997 Constitution underwent 52 amendments. In an exclusive interview with QTV, the lead counsel of the TRRC emphasized and clarified the issue of the granting of amnesty. And here is some of what he had to say.
I have explained during the visit of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union that amnesty under our laws, the laws of the TRRC, is predicated on 2 important issues. The person is qualified for amnesty if the person provides full disclosure of the violations that person has been involved in, and at the same time also expresses remorse for the violations that person has been involved in. Such a person can qualify for amnesty if the person makes an application. However, granting of amnesty is not just automatic. If the person is one who bears the greatest responsibility for crimes or for violations, that person would not be entitled to amnesty. Say, for instance, the head of state or a senior person in government who ordered massacres would not be entitled to amnesty because such person would be a person who bears the greatest responsibility for crimes. Say, for instance, the commander of the junglers, for instance, may not be entitled to amnesty because that person would bear the greatest responsibility for crimes committed by the junglers. Another important exception is that crimes against humanity are not suitable for amnesty. So any person who commits a crime or a violation that amounts to a crime against humanity, that person should not be entitled to amnesty. So these are basically the rules on determining amnesty. But the Commission also has a responsibility to attach conditions to amnesty. Say, after having determined whether a person or an applicant is qualified for amnesty, they can determine what conditions they would attach for the person to access amnesty. The Amnesty Committee has not yet determined those conditions, but it won't be difficult to imagine that one condition may be community service, another condition may be not to reoffend, and things like that. So if a person who is qualified for amnesty does not accept conditions that are imposed by the Commission, perhaps maybe that person would not be recommended for amnesty. So basically this is the rule on amnesty before the Commission. So the rule therefore accommodates the precedence of justice over amnesty in certain instances. That is for those who bear the greatest responsibility for crimes or with regards to crimes against humanity.
The AU Peace and Security Council delegation was led by the chair, His Excellency Sebadi Toba, also Togo's ambassador to Ethiopia and some other East African countries. The delegation included representatives from Togo, Algeria, Angola, Burundi, Djibouti, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, and Zimbabwe. For QTV News, Lamin AFF, S. Dabo.
The University of the Gambia Students' Union held a press conference to condemn the killing of one of its students, Keba Seka. Jenaba Sonko was there and she now reports.
A 25-year-old University of the Gambia student, Keba Seka, was stabbed with a knife, causing his death on Tuesday, 7th July 2019. According to police reports, Lamin Tarawale, a serving policeman, has admitted that he and a colleague caused Keba's death. Investigations are still ongoing. Since the incident, UTG students have been campaigning for justice on social media, which is one of the reasons why the press conference was called. Ibrahim El Damfa is the president of the UTGSU.
What motivated this press conference is to relay the council's position in the unfortunate death of our dear brother in the name Keba Seka. We felt it is necessary to make it known to the general public and the students of the University of the Gambia that the Students' Union is not mute and close-mouthed in this issue, that the Students' Union is following all forms of procedures and protocols to ensure that this issue is addressed accordingly. So this is why we call this presser to inform them about our current position of the issue.
A student at the University of the Gambia, Ogon Bechi, says finding Keba Seka smoking cannabis is not an excuse to kill him.
Up till this moment, I can tell you vividly that the capital punishment has been erased from our laws. Hence, there is no death sentence that's applicable to any convict. So even if he was found doing it, which has not yet been ascertained by a competent court of law, he wasn't supposed to be killed. Secondly, I will agree with you that a student of the university, a final year student at that, should be a replica of the ethics and ethos of a civilized society, and as such should not be found in a compromising position. That I will accept with you. But even at that, when he's found at that point, it is a place for the law to take its course, and not for a shenanigan in the disguise of an officer of the law to take the life of that innocent young man. And as such, we will not take it lightly with them. And we are very serious about this.
The UTGSU is planning to stage a protest.
We are about to organize a protest. In fact, we planned to organize a protest, but because of the current fragile security situation of the country, we agreed with the Gambia Police Force that, of course, we are going to postpone this protest to a relevant time, and that time is going to be in October. That's going to be the time the culprit or the alleged is going to appear in the court. So we are aimed at ensuring that this protest is in line with the rules, regulations, and the laws of the land, to ensure that it is a peaceful protest, to ensure that we have the maximum security, and to ensure that, as I said earlier, we follow all forms of procedures and confines of protest.
He further explains that he is confident that a permit will be given to them, and if that they are denied, they will figure out what to do when the time comes. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenaba Sonko.
We will go with a commercial break, and the news continues when we return.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
to build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy QPower to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell QPower code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With the touch of your fingers,
with ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
QPower. lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Gambian union leaders gathered for leadership training with the theme Unity, Organizing and Collective Bargaining. Ajifatum Boop reports.
The Gambia Trade Union Bureau, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization ACTRAV, hosted a 3-day workshop in leadership training in Senegambia Hotel from the 29th to 31st of July 2019. The theme of the Union Leadership Workshop was Unity, Organizing and Collective Bargaining, brought together over 30 different unions in the country. The Gambia Trade Union is a new organization comprised of 10 unions, and it is seeking to create consensus among trade unions and have a unified body representing the entire labor movement in the Gambia.
We are aware of our shortcomings, and that is capacity. And because of this necessity to build capacity, we have been involved in a lot of capacity building programs, seminars, workshops for women, for leadership, etc. And this is part of the program and that ILO is taking up. And we are specifically talking about uniting the labor movement, organizing the labor movement, and building a strong collective bargaining system in the country.
Participants think this workshop is necessary as it teaches them something new all the time. Yafatu Sonko, who says she has attended many workshops over the years and that the trade union had sent her and her son to Ghana to study. She further says that what she has learned over the 2 days of training has so far been beneficial because she now knows things that she didn't know before.
Teaching alone is not enough. If I learn something and it is not shared with anyone, it does not make sense. But if I learn something and share it with people, I know it makes a lot of sense. I know the importance of the trade union, but most people do not know about them. I have learned something new today, and I will learn something new tomorrow. Every person that is participating in this workshop should pay a close attention to whatever is being taught here, because at the end of the day, you are going to report back to the union you are representing.
For the past 22 years, there was no such thing like this initiative. But now that we are in the new system, GAMTOP is trying to bring different unions on board so that it can have a positive impact on all workers and pensioners in the Gambia, says Alhaji Momodu ABS Mbub. He, however, appreciates the representatives for the support and advice rendered, but says the government should have at least been there as well since they were also invited.
I believe it's going in the right direction, except that probably we are not having much, assistance or this thing from government, in the sense that the minister was invited, but then it didn't appear. Probably it might due to his tight schedule, as we have been understand that he's at the National Assembly. But nevertheless, we are proceeding, and then it's more or less a starter. So we hope that we are going in the right direction.
Ajifatu Bintumbu, QTV News.
The Gambia is preparing to send competitors in 5 sporting disciplines to the 12th African Games in Morocco. One sport intensifying its preparation is the athletics team, who will be sending 11 athletes to the Moroccan capital. Babkar C visited the Independence Stadium and prepared this report.
The African Games in Morocco are expected to attract champion athletes from across the continent. This will be the first time the Gambia will be represented by 5 different sporting disciplines, namely athletics, judo, basketball, swimming and beach volleyball. At the Independence Stadium in Bakau, where the local athletes are intensifying their preparations under head coach Maria Masala, the athletes are hungry for glory and want to bring home medals from the African Mini Olympics. Idrissa Marong, the first local athlete to gain the qualifying standard for Rabat, said they are ready to do what they are known for and what they do best, but call on the authorities to give them more support.
We are training every day, but we didn't even know whether we are going or not. And then secondly, our neighbors Senegal are camping on the 3rd, and we don't know yet whether we will be camped or not. We are here blindly training, but we don't know anything about our going. Yeah.
And what message will you have for the Gambians if supposedly you will be leaving for Morocco?
Well, the Gambians, as they expect from us, as we normally do, we deliver to them up to expectation, and then let them expect the same when we go to the African Games. We will do our best, to bring what we normally bring for them, inshallah, by the grace of Almighty.
Fatou Sane is among the female athletes traveling to Morocco, and she too had this to say.
I know that by going with the delegation of 11 people, I'm sorry, when everybody cannot have the medal, but I'm sure like 4 or 5 people can have the medal. I have very confidently of that, because I think this is going to be the first time like Gambia to take a female relay team to a competition like All African Games.
The head coach of the national team, Mariama Salah, is confident that the Gambia will win medals, citing the fact that this is the first time a team of this magnitude from this country will be participating in the African Games.
When you don't have the qualifying standard, so they will allow you to go with a male athlete and a female athlete. But last Olympics, definitely we've worked for it and we've qualified. We have the standard that was stipulated for the Olympics, that is 100 and 200. And this time around too, the African Games is not like a wild card thing, like going when you don't have the standard. We fought for it, and I can tell you that most of these athletes going, they have the standard of going, even those who are here. Some of them just got the standard last week, about a week ago, in Senegal, because we were invited to the National Championship of Senegal. And we went there, they are having electronics, so we went and compete, and the performance was great. Definitely, most of them gained their standard in Senegal.
The African Games in Morocco, the 12th edition of the championship, will be held in the cities of Rabat and Casablanca from the 19th to the 31st of August 2019. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main stories. Visiting Indian president says his government is committed to partner with the Gambia towards the latter's progress and prosperity. In response, President Barrow appealed for debt relief from New Delhi to better implement development plans. The two leaders were speaking at a press briefing at the State House in Banjul. A 15-man delegation from the African Union's Peace and Security Council visited the TRRC headquarters in Kololi to assess the Truth Commission's work so far and subsequent activities to be undertaken by the Commission and its subcommittees. The University of the Gambia Students' Union held a press conference to condemn the killing of one of its students, Keba Seka. The Gambia is preparing to send competitors in 5 sporting disciplines to the 12th African Games in Morocco. One sport intensifying its preparation is the athletics team, who will be sending 11 athletes to the Moroccan capital. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thank you for watching.